God bless you. So I heard something great from Reverend Eric Givens today. And Reverend Givens, who's a powerful preacher in the area, he gave the story of a Morehouse grad. And he told the story of a young man who couldn't graduate with his class on time, all because he lacked one class. So he had to come back a whole nother year for one class. This young man was already burdened with a ton of student loan debt. And then there's the disappointment of not graduating with the class that he intended and some of his peers and having to borrow all over again for one class. Well, he went to take that one class and he graduated. He was also he was also starting to worry about his staggering student loan debt. The young man still did his best to be excited over his graduation, even though it was a year later than he planned, and many dollars in loan debt later also. And it turns out for his graduation that the commencement speaker was Robert Smith, a billionaire. And Robert Smith, while delivering his commencement speech, was determined to deliver a motivating word. And then he went to the extra length of telling each and every graduate of that particular Morehouse graduation that he would pay the entirety of every graduate's student loan debt. This young man's student loan debt was at past six figures already. So the young man's emotions were all over the place. He was sitting there stunned. He walked into a graduation earlier that day, a year later than he planned, already angry and mad at the world. And while sitting there stunned, he realized that if he had just graduated on time, all he would have heard one year earlier was just a good commencement speech. My brothers and sisters, your watch won't always match God's clock, but God's timing will bless your life. With God, many times later is better. Graduating a year later is a bummer, but graduating with zero debt is an awesome blessing. So don't get mad when your clock doesn't match God's your clock or your watch doesn't match God's clock. God's timing is always perfect. They used to say, what's the song they used to sing? Oh gosh, oh man, as much time as I've sat in a million churches, he may not come when you want him to come, but he always show up right on time. Sometimes we don't like delays, but God's delays are not always God's denials. Sometimes I know we have all these prognostications and all these plans and all the things that we'll say we're going to be at this juncture by the end and by that. But guess what? God's timing is perfect. He may not come when you want him to come, but I promise you, he's right on time. And sometimes, even when God seems a year late, before you throw your tantrum, you better observe what God has arranged for you. Have a great day. And don't be mad because it hasn't happened yet. God is putting the finishing touches and some special sheens on the things that he's prepared for you. Have a good one.